Jarden, and I'm Scott Jarden. This is Jancast on the road edition. In the RV, this is Globie.
Well, before you even start,
that's my title. I'm doing the preamble.
Okay, but I want to ask you a question before I get started.
Go ahead.
All right, my recollection, I forget the absolute necessities that you were talking about, competitive situations.
This is the history of Airx.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember talking to my closest friend, Stu Carroll.
Right.
And Stu Carroll said, "You've got to come down, and I'll have a lunch set up with you."
Right.
For the managing director of
the Monell Chemical.
Monell Chemical.
Yeah.
So
yep.
we went down and had lunch with him, and I learned that there's a lot more about odor control than just putting perfumes in something.
Right.
And that there's a new concept that you can change the
shape of the molecule.
The molecule, and so on and so forth. And so with the advice that we got from Monell, just as a starting point, it got us working on the
whole
thing is how we should go.
Yep. Well, my recollection was that before that meeting, you were at the ISSA show, and across from us was it was Pioneer at that point. Pioneer wasn't Pioneer Eclipse. Eclipse came later, and they started the propane burnishing machines, and we couldn't hear anything. This was before they banned them from doing that, and you thought these machines are going to revolutionize floor care, and floor care was a big part of our business. And if we didn't do something different, we were going to go out of business. So you walked around and decided that we needed a line of odor control products because nobody had a whole line of odor control products. And then that led you, when you came back from the show, to this good meeting at Monell. And then next thing you know, it's whatever, that was in the 80s.
Would you want to talk about my background at
sure.
My father started Franklin Research.
Yep. Go ahead. Tell people that are watching, right?
Oh, people watching.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, we're sitting here talking about how we got started and how we got where we are in business. Well, in my case, I guess other than the few years in the Army, I've not done anything other than work in this industry. My father, back in 1932, which was the heights of the Big Depression, started, he had been a very successful salesman selling lumber, not individual lumber like in a lumber yard, but lumber to build big complexes and houses and all this. And the bottom fell out of that business. We got a little competition, we got blown.
Yeah, this guy's, you can probably see him on the cameras. He's going to go away in a little bit, but you can keep going. I think we'll hear it.
Okay, so anyway, I started, as you did with me, I started working with my father in odd jobs to do this and do that. And I don't know whether I was really learning anything, but...
no, he's right there. This guy's ruining our thing. Come on, get out of here. Okay, he's moving away.
Okay, he's moving away.
Go ahead, sorry.
So anyway, I started with odd jobs at my father's company, and my father, as I said, had been a successful salesman in the lumber business, but the bottom fell out of the lumber business, and somehow or other he saw the opportunities in the chemical business, in sanitary chemicals. And with some help financially, he got started a company called Franklin Research Company.
And Franklin comes from Ben Franklin in Philadelphia.
Well, yeah, the Franklin Research came from two things. Number one, the Franklin Institute, which is a technical museum here in Philadelphia, added the mystery to the name. Benjamin Franklin is an old Philadelphia name. And the research came from my father's early sales effort when he found that you don't walk into a place you're trying to sell and say, "I'm here to try and sell you something." And he came up with the idea that Franklin should be a research company.
Oh, okay.
And that would be the way to get started. You came here to learn something, ask something, and that worked.
Now they call that consultative selling.
Is it
Yeah,
really?
there's a name for it now. So he was ahead of his time.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
ahead of
that's
his time.
pretty. I'd never heard that part.
Have you really?
Yeah, that's good.
Well, he started the business on Girard Avenue in Philadelphia, which is a small neighborhood type area, and a store that had been selling candy and so on. But they very quickly grew because Franklin at the time was a direct selling company.
Right.
And my father going out to do the selling would develop a lot of good new business, and as time went on, I really got started with my father and being part of the business at the end of the war. I came back from the service and went to work with him, and it was in the first summer that I started to work that my father died. I had become the sales manager, and my father had two partners that decided they would like to sell the business, and so they worked toward selling the business, and I thought it was a good idea because I felt I was doing all the work there anyway, and the new owners would make me the president.
Right.
And that's what happened. They sold the business to Purex Corporation out on the West Coast.
People now know them for laundry detergents.
Yeah, well, they always were in that business, and it was for household products. They were big in bleach,
right,
and other laundry products. And actually, the first year or two was some of my happiest times in business, I guess, because I was the boss by then, because my father's two partners had left and gone off to play golf and so on. So I was reporting to a man by the name of Alan Stoneman, who is the president of Purex and who was responsible for building it as big as they were at the time that they bought us. The only problem I saw is that I had you, Scott, and your older brother Richard, and your sister Suzanne, and your younger brother David, all in school, all with friends around here, and it was pretty obvious that progress at the Purex division here would require me to move out to California.
Oh. Hey, I would have liked that for surfing.
Yeah, right. Well, they were in Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah, there's some waves there, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was out there a couple of times, and it was nice, but I was always...
Didn't want to move every day.
Yeah, I was always part of Philadelphia, so I decided that with my future, if them, I would have to move out there. I decided I would find something else to do in our industry back here, and somehow or other got to know a guy by the name of Joseph Bullen, whose father started a little chemical company in Fallcroft, and Joe really had no interest in the business and really ran it into the ground. Now, I love to tell this story. You can cut it out if you want.
No, it's a good part. I know this part.
Okay, so I had lunch with Joe one day, and I had already seen that he was not going to make it in his business with his little company, and so I got talking to him about possibly buying into it or buying the whole thing, and I found he was interested. I also found that he owed a fair amount of money at the bank, and this is my Horatio Alger part of the story. So at dinner or lunch that day, I said, Joe, I'll give you $10 for the whole business.
$10. Yeah.
Now I knew that he owed the bank something like $20,000, but he was smart enough to know that that could be part of the sale. So we finally agreed that he would take the $10 as I gave him in cash right there at the table. but I would also obligate myself
To the debt.
for the debt, which
Right.
meant to get to work hard so you could pay it off.
Right.
So we started Bullen when?
That would have been right around 1960. I would
Yeah,
think.
something
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
1960.
Yeah.
And I learned one thing from the short ownership by Bullen, and I mean by Airx, and that was that they had always said we should go through distributors.
Right.
So that's the way we did it, and really have gone that direction.
Well,
ever
yeah, the
since.
majority of manufacturers go through distributors now.
Yeah.
There's only a few like Hilliard and some of the
Yeah.
other ones that
Now
sell
we can
direct.
point to a couple of firsts in the business. I think that was the day back in those days they were still maintaining floors with wax,
Right.
and some of the manufacturers of polymers came along with these nice hard finishes that gave a really great shine and so on. The only problem with it was that if you already had wax on the floor, it wasn't going to stick.
Oh.
So one of the big things was stripping the floors, and that's probably what you refer to in these machines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Up until then, it would be just one more coat of wax, one more coat of wax. But once they decided to out, you had to get that wax off of the floor.
Mm.
So we were one of the first people to get into the polymer type floor finish.
Mm-hmm.
Another interesting thing to me, thinking about friendship in the business. I had gone to school with a guy by the name of Gordon Clausen,
Right.
and some of the distributors will still remember Gordon. Gordon, I would say, is the for bringing carpet care to the commercial field
Mm-hmm.
as something they could do in-house.
Right.
Up until then, when you had a carpet really get dirty, you had to take the whole carpet up, ship it off to a big warehouse type place where they would scrub it, usually hang it up on the ceiling for a week
Yeah.
for it to dry, and then reinstall it. And Gordon had worked for a Philadelphia carpet manufacturer and knew the business, and so with him, we helped him start Clausen.
Yeah.
Which
he sold. He sold a couple times, and then we ended up buying it
Yeah.
from him when he retired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, what else do you want to hear?
Well, that's good. We've gone through Clausen, then we covered the Airx line. Technology's come a long way. Back in the day, you had your sales meetings where you'd bring everybody in. Now you know that we have ours on a video conference every morning, and then we're doing
Wonderful.
filming with these cameras and stuff. But this is kind of going back to the way it used to be, where you call on customers. So the idea with this is we're going to take this, we call this Globie is the name for this unit. We're going to go to the customers and call on them, because nowadays people don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're going to go back, and we can still use technology with iPads and all that other stuff, but trying to kind of go back to a mixture of the old and the new. And this is like a brand new old way of camping.
How many people can you get in here?
Well, we can sleep two back there. This changes into a bed here. This drops down, but I had 5 people in here today talking about, like we were talking about the new Airx branding and some of that stuff. So it was good. I mean, got them out of their offices and into the Globie, and we talked for 45 minutes, and nobody interrupted.
How do you do things like show a video here?
There's a screen up there. You could do it up there, or I could do something as simple as if you wanted to say, like, let's see here, because of the iPads, we can go like there's the new Airx website. I could show them a presentation right on our iPads here. So you don't need a whole lot of, because this is a small group. You can do it all pretty much right on something like that. And then obviously you have all your printed stuff as well. So we got it all covered. So that's kind of what we're doing here.
Yeah.
So this is Jancast number 81. Oh no, I'm sorry, 82. 82, and we've been doing these things since 2004. So it was nice to have you as a guest on the show, and you can say hello. I'm going to send this link around to everybody. So
I should have prepared a speech.
Are you coming to the ISSA show?
No,
No?
I'm a little, well, as far as...
Tell the group how, the
history.
people listening, how old are you?
Well, I went to school, before I went in the Army, I went to a school called Valley Forge Military Academy. I've always been quite indebted to them. And they do business on a school year basis.
Right.
And the school year starts in September. So this school year starts in September and will end next May.
Yeah.
So I can truthfully say that in this school year, I will be 95 years of age.
There you go.
Yeah.
And still selling. For
And
those
still
of you that
selling.
want to buy hand sanitizer, this is the guy to buy it from. Well, good. Well, thanks for joining me in the van and letting you kick it off with our. I did a video this morning, and this is our second one. So
Really?
2 in 1 day.
Well, you'll have to do a lot of cutting on this to make it of interest to get rid of some of the uhs and ahs.
No, it's perfect. We'll say goodbye then. We'll say goodbye, and I'll turn off the cameras. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we can chat some more.
Yeah. Okay.